So our topic is all about the importance of forestry sector. So let me define what is forestry. Forestry is the science and craft of creating, managing, planting, using, conserving, repairing forests, woodlands, and associated resources for human and environmental benefits. So the forestry sector is the major centerpiece of the country's natural resource based in ecosystem. Although the sector's contribution to the national economy has been declining, its continued development and that of the environmental sector is a prerequisite to a sustained growth in agriculture and other industry. It has been a long time been recognized that the forestry sector's contribution is not only the timber that is produced, but also the non-timber contribution it makes directly and indirectly to the communities and in, ar- and around timber production regions. Below are the few important contributions that are important to the economy. Supplier of raw materials, market for produce and services, provider of job opportunities, and development of rural areas. So, supplier of raw materials. Forestry is an important supplier of raw materials to a large number of sectors in the economy. Currently, the manufacturing industry is one of the key generators of economic growth and wealth. Looking ahead, it is this industry that should be the generator of economic growth, new job opportunities, and wealth. Without the supply of timber, a large number of sectors in the manufacturing industry will not be able to fulfill this role. Market for produce and services. The importance of agriculture and forestry as an integral part of agriculture is the economy is also evident from the fact that about one-third of the country's manufacturing industry on value basis is linked to the agricultural sector. This figure is probably higher in rural areas. Some 25% of wholesale sales are linked to the agriculture sector. At the same time, rural retail sales are dependent mainly on farmers' business. The value of retail sale is in some rural areas amount to almost 40% of total domestic retail sales. So forestry is the basis of further economic growth and development in rural areas and remain an important sector, especially in view of the indirect role of forward and backward linkage effects on other economic activities. So the annual export of timber and related products is a large earner of foreign exchange and its contribute to the GDP is of utmost importance. So the forestry sector is really important because this is where we get some raw materials to produce some products. For example, timber. Timber came from forests, and timber made some furnitures, plywood, which is produced to and sale to the other person. Also, forestry sectors give some jobs to the person, especially in rural areas. So, when we say timber or trees is a renewable sources because we need to replant it, and it it have a lot of purpose in our environment.
Good day, everyone. My topic today is all about provider of job opportunities and development of rural areas. Provider of job opportunities, the direct and indirect expenditure by forestry via wage and salaries is an important factor for trade and services industries in rural areas where timber is grown without the purchasing power generated by forestry, trade, and infrastructure activities will not be able to exist in many rural areas. The forestry sector is one of the sectors that create the most job opportunities per per 1 million invested. There is, however, a long-term downward trend in forestry employment. This is in conflict with the perception that a developing country will have a greater demand for labor. Mechanization as well as farmers first about about future legislation and pressure on profitability due to free market force are noted as the main causes for the decline in employment. Development of rural areas. Development of rural areas. In the most rural areas, forestry is the most important economic activity. Forestry therefore plays an important role as the economic base for the development of rural towns and the welfare of their people. The government regards its rural development strategy as a high priority as is looking for ways to improve rural economics. In addition, it fulfills a direct community and social functions. It provides living space and housing to a fair percentage of the population in areas where timber is grown. Farm schools and forestry areas provide learners mainly from employees' children with primary education.
In addition, forests provide us breath of fresh air. Forests behave like the green lungs of the earth as they absorb and filter the greenhouse gases released by us and keep the air fresh. So, leaves use this carbon dioxide to produce food with the help of sunlight by the photosynthesis process. So they release oxygen in the atmosphere after the photosynthesis process that is a vital component for respiration. So without oxygen, no human being, nor animal or plant can survive on this earth. As an estimate, a single mature tree can supply enough oxygen for approx 2 to 10 person. So forests keep the earth cool by reducing global warming. So they release water vapor that help our bodies to handle high temperature more comfortably. Greenhouse gases such as dioxide speed up the process of global warming by capturing and absorbing heat, thus making the earth even hotter. So forests help to reduce global warming by consuming almost 28% of the airborne carbon dioxide, preventing global temperature from rising. So forests provides a home for humans and animals. So data from FAO or Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations state that around 1.6 billion people, more than 25% of the world's population, depends upon forest resources for their livelihoods. So wildlife also needs forests to survive, but due to the extensive deforestation, certain species are now becoming extinct. This disturbs the ecological balance and is detrimental to the Earth ecosystem. So forests are important in maintaining the climate. So forests affect climate in a good way as they keep a check on the extreme of climates by reducing the heat in summer and cold in winter. They help to maintain the water cycle by pulling the moisture out of the ground, releasing water vapor into the atmosphere, regulating local, regional, and global precipitation patterns. So, owing to massive deforestation, certain regions may experience a decline in rainfall. So, a recent study shows that the northeastern state of India received less rainfall due to large-scale deforestation in this region. So forests are important to prevent soil and controlling floods. So soil erosion is the removal of wearing down of soil top fertile layer by water or wind that negatively affects crop growth as the land becomes unproductive. So erosion accelerates soil loosening and surface runoff that ultimately leads to destructive flooding. So tree roots bind the soil with themselves and absorb much of the rainwater that helps in controlling the floods. So forests also act as a natural canopy that shields the direct downfall of rain on the ground, preventing soil erosion. Forests not only prevent soil erosion but they improve the fertility of soil by decomposing dead leaves. So forests provide food, medicine, and many other valuable resources. So forests will always remain as a rich source of food and nutrients for our society and other living organisms. So they provide many natural medication that not only reduces stress and anxiety, but also cure various medical problems. Apart from food, they provide us enormous wealth in the form of natural products that are useful for humanity. For example, fruits, cane, bamboo, timber, fiber, oils, medicines such as many types of herb and scrub present in the forest are useful for producing medicines. Sunflower seeds. Next, forests are important in promoting ecotourism. So forests and wildlife attract travelers and nature lovers that can generate handsome revenues to support the needs of the local community. So ecotourism and responsible travel promotes environmental conservation is one of the fastest growing tourism segment worldwide. So ecotourism attracts tourists to elusive environments that host endangered species and rich biodiversity forest ecosystem. So forests put a check on the spread of desert. So strong winds can carry and sand particles to a larger distance, result in the spreading of the desert. So tree roots can bind the soil and adds humidity into the atmosphere, thus providing a check on the spread of desert.